Hello and welcome to Limitless. Get ready for an experience that will not only inform, but also inspire you to take action and transform your life. This is the beginning of a new journey where you will discover how to create and live with purpose, energy, and unbeatable focus. Thank you for joining us. Let's start unlocking the infinite potential that is waiting to be explored. Chapter 1. Freeing your mind. Redefining what's possible. Imagine for a moment that you can do anything. Not just the things you already do well, but everything you've always wanted to do, whether it's learning a new language, mastering a skill, or even transforming your body and mind into the ideal versions of yourself. Now, imagine that the only obstacle between you and these dreams is a set of limiting beliefs, learned over the course of your life, that are preventing you from reaching your true potential. This is the starting point of the first chapter of Limitless. I am Jim Kwik, and I want to share with you a journey that began in an unexpected and painful way. When I was just a child, I suffered a brain injury that impaired my ability to learn. At school, while other students seemed to progress with ease, I struggled to keep up. Reading a page, remembering what I had studied, or even processing new information were excruciating tasks for me. It wasn't uncommon to be called the boy with the broken brain, and this slowly turned into an internal narrative that I carried with me. I'm not good enough. I can't learn. These beliefs kept me trapped for a long time. I believed that my intelligence was fixed, that I was born with a limitation, and that no matter how hard I tried, I would never be able to overcome it. Perhaps you also carry a similar belief. Something someone told you or that you repeated to yourself so many times that it became true. But what if you discovered that this truth isn't so true after all? What if it were possible, through new information and practices, to redefine what's possible for you? In this chapter, I begin to explore how we can, together, redefine our limiting beliefs and pave the way for a new level of learning and performance. I want you to join me on this journey of discovery and growth, where we will break the limits imposed on us by society, by our education, and most importantly, by ourselves. The story of the broken brain. After that accident at school when I hit my head, my life changed drastically. From that moment on, I had to fight to keep up with my studies. While my classmates seemed to grasp new concepts with ease, I lagged behind, feeling increasingly inadequate and frustrated. This continued throughout my childhood and adolescence until, in college, I found myself at rock bottom. Then something incredible happened. A mentor, a figure who came into my life at the right moment, gave me advice that changed everything. If you want to improve your life, you first need to improve your mind. He gave me books to read, despite my difficulties with reading, and encouraged me to explore ways to optimize my brain. What I discovered during this process was a revelation. My mind wasn't broken, I just didn't know how to use it correctly. Challenging the myth of fixed intelligence. In this chapter, I introduce the concept of the myth, which stands for the model of intelligence that's held as truth. This model is the belief that our intelligence is fixed and unchangeable, an idea many of us carry without questioning. Have you ever heard someone say, "I'm terrible at math," or "I'll never be a good writer"? These are expressions of this mindset that limit what we believe is possible. But what if we told you that intelligence isn't fixed? Research in neuroscience has shown that the brain is incredibly malleable, a concept known as neuroplasticity. This means that just like any muscle in the body, the brain can be strengthened, trained, and developed over time. The limitations we perceive are often self-imposed and can be challenged and overcome. The 3 C's: awareness, competence, and consistency. To begin breaking these self-imposed limits, I present 3 fundamental principles: awareness, competence, and consistency. Awareness. The first step to change is becoming aware of the beliefs that are limiting us. This requires introspection and the willingness to question the narratives we have accepted as true. What are the things you tell yourself you can't do? What are the beliefs that stop you from trying something new? Once you become aware of these limitations, you can begin to work on overcoming them. Competence. After becoming aware of the limitations, the next step is to develop the skills needed to overcome them. This involves learning new techniques, practicing, and continuously improving. In my case, I had to learn speed reading, memory, and accelerated learning techniques. These skills not only helped me overcome my difficulties but also became the foundation of my future success. Consistency. Finally, to consolidate learning and turn new skills into habits, it is necessary to practice them consistently. Consistency is what turns knowledge into skill and eventually into mastery. It's not enough to learn something once. You need to practice until it becomes part of who you are. The power of asking the right question. Another crucial technique I share in this chapter is the power of asking the right questions. Our questions shape our thoughts, which in turn shape our actions and ultimately our results. Often, we are stuck in limiting thought patterns because we ask the wrong questions. Instead of asking, "Why am I so bad at this?" ask yourself, "How can I get better at this? What do I need to learn to overcome this challenge?" This change in perspective can have a profound impact on your life. When you question yourself constructively, you begin to find solutions and opportunities where you previously only saw problems and barriers. For example, instead of accepting the belief that I was bad at math, I began to ask myself how I could improve. This led me to seek out books, tutorials, and practices that helped me develop this skill. Overcoming the digital villains. We live in an era where technology, though full of benefits, also presents unique challenges to our focus and learning. In this chapter, I introduce 4 digital villains that are harming our ability to learn and grow. Digital deluge. The constant flood of information we receive daily can leave us overwhelmed and unable to process everything effectively. This affects our ability to concentrate and learn new things. Digital distraction. With so many notifications, social media, and apps vying for our attention, it is increasingly difficult to maintain focus on a task long enough to master it. Digital dementia. Excessive reliance on technology to store information can weaken our ability to remember and process information on our own. Digital deduction. The ease of access to information can lead to mental laziness, where we prefer to look for a quick answer online rather than think critically and solve problems ourselves. To combat these villains, I suggest practices like the digital diet, where you reduce unnecessary information consumption and establish technology-free moments to allow your brain to rest and recover. The I Am Challenge. At the end of this chapter, I propose a simple but transformative challenge. Replace the words I am, followed by a limiting belief with I am in the process of. Instead of saying I am terrible with numbers, say I am in the process of improving my skills with numbers. This change in language is small but powerful as it opens up space for growth and change. I am no different from you. I had my own limitations and struggles, but by applying the techniques and principles I share in this book, I was able to transform my life. What I want you to know is that you can do this too. The limitations you believe you have are not permanent. With the right mindset, motivation, and methods, you can unlock a potential you may not even know exists. And it all starts with freeing your mind. Now, I want you to get ready for the journey. This is just the first step of a transformation that can change your life forever. Together, let's rediscover what is possible and redefine the limits that have been imposed on us. Are you ready? Because your limitless future starts now. Chapter 2. The Power of Your Beliefs. Imagine living your life believing that you are trapped inside an invisible cage. This cage isn't made of iron bars, but rather mental constructs built from doubts, fears, and uncertainties that you've accumulated over the years. Now imagine if you could see these bars, and more importantly, learn how to remove them one by one. This chapter is about identifying and overcoming these limiting beliefs. redefining what you believe is possible for yourself. I am Jim Kwik, and my mission is to help you realize that the only thing truly limiting you is the beliefs you hold about what is possible. Growing up, I believed there was something inherently wrong with me. As I mentioned earlier, a brain injury as a child made learning difficult for me, and these difficulties quickly turned into an internal narrative that shaped my perception of myself and my abilities. The impact of limiting beliefs. Beliefs are powerful. They have the power to shape our reality because they influence the way we think, feel, and act. If you believe you're not good enough to achieve something, you're likely to never take the necessary steps to try. If you believe you can't learn a new skill, that belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, preventing you from even attempting. In my case, the belief that I was the boy with the broken brain kept me from seeing any other possibilities for my life. In this chapter, we'll explore how limiting beliefs are formed, and more importantly, how we can overcome them. I'm going to show you that your mind is far more powerful than you think, and that the limitations you feel are not permanent. They're just the result of thought patterns that can be changed. How beliefs are formed. The beliefs we hold about ourselves are often formed in childhood, stemming from experiences and external influences. These beliefs can come from something a teacher or a parent said, a negative experience, or a misinterpretation of a situation. For example, a child who receives constant negative feedback about their academic performance might begin to believe they are stupid or incapable, even though this isn't the reality. Over time, these beliefs become deeply rooted in our psyche, turning into a sort of unquestionable truth. They affect our self-image and determine what we believe we are capable of achieving. For me, the label of the boy with the broken brain was something that held me back for many years until I discovered that these beliefs were not set in stone. The science of beliefs neuroscience shows that the human brain is malleable, a concept known as neuroplasticity. This means our brains are constantly changing in response to our experiences, thoughts, and actions. When we cling to a limiting belief, we're essentially reinforcing a specific neural pathway, a mental road that becomes easier to follow every time we think in a similar way. However, just as we can build a road, we can also pave new routes in the brain, creating new beliefs and habits. This is where the concept of mind trail comes into play. If you always think, "I can't do this," that trail becomes easier to follow over time. But if you start saying, "I can learn this," you're beginning to pave a new trail. With consistency, the old trail will start to weaken, and the new trail will become the preferred route. Challenge your beliefs. The first step to changing your beliefs is identifying them. What do you believe about yourself that's holding you back? Maybe you believe you're not good at math, you can't learn a new language, or you'll never be a leader. Write down these beliefs. Now ask yourself, is this belief really true? And if it's not, what new belief would you like to adopt instead? One technique I use to help challenge limiting beliefs is belief replacement. Let's say you have the limiting belief, "I'm not good at remembering names." Instead of accepting this as truth, replace it with, "I'm getting better at remembering names every day." The key is to reinforce this new belief through practice and repetition. The belief test. To truly challenge your beliefs, I suggest you take a belief test. Take a limiting belief and challenge yourself to prove it wrong. If you believe you can't run a marathon, sign up for a shorter race and start training. If you think you can't learn a new skill, sign up for a class or course and see how you do. The goal isn't to become perfect immediately, but to start questioning the limitations you've placed on yourself. The process of challenging your beliefs opens your mind to new possibilities and begins to build a new self-image, one where you are capable, competent, and always growing. Change your internal vocabulary. Another important aspect of transforming your beliefs is changing the vocabulary you use to talk to yourself. The words we choose have a direct impact on how we feel and how we behave. Instead of saying, "I can't," start saying, "I can learn," "I will try," or "I'm in the process of." This change might seem small, but it has a powerful effect on your mindset. I always say that the quality of our lives is determined by the quality of the questions we ask ourselves. Instead of asking, "Why am I so bad at this?" ask, "How can I get better at this?" Or, "What do I need to learn to become better?" This change in language and mindset can have a transformative effect on how you see yourself and your challenges. Practical exercise. Belief journal. To help you identify and transform your limiting beliefs, I suggest a practical exercise I call the belief journal. Every day, take a few minutes to write about a limiting belief you've identified. Write down where this belief might have come from, and then replace it with a new, empowering belief. Track your progress over time and observe how your mindset begins to change. This journal isn't just a tool for self-awareness, but also a way to track your growth. Over time, you'll see that many of the limitations you believed you had were simply mental constructs that can be torn down and rebuilt in a more positive and empowering way. Overcoming barriers to growth. At the end of this chapter, I discuss how we can overcome the barriers that prevent us from growing. Often, these barriers are simply the fear of failure or the fear of the unknown. What I want you to understand is that failure is a part of the growth process. Every mistake is an opportunity to learn, and every failure is a chance to try again, but with more wisdom. I've failed many times throughout my life. Each failure taught me something new and prepared me for the next challenge. If you can change your perception of failure, seeing it not as an end, but as a necessary step on the path to success, you'll begin to see that there are no limits to what you can achieve. Transform your beliefs. Transform your life. This chapter is an invitation for you to redefine your beliefs about yourself and what is possible. Remember, limiting beliefs are not permanent unless you accept them as such. You have the power to challenge, replace, and transform these beliefs, paving the way for a life full of possibilities. Throughout this book, we will continue to explore techniques and strategies that will help you unlock your full potential. But it all starts here, with the decision not to let past beliefs limit your future. Believe in yourself because I believe in you. And together, we'll prove that the impossible is just a matter of perspective. What you believe is what you become, so choose to believe that you are capable of great things. This is just the beginning of your journey to an unlimited mind. From now on, every thought, every word, and every action you take should be guided by the belief that you can and will achieve your goals. Let's continue to explore and grow, because your journey to the limitless begins with the transformation of your beliefs. Chapter 3. Overcoming digital villains. We live in an era of information overload, where our digital devices, designed to help us, often become the biggest villains in the struggle for our attention, memory, and mental well-being. I, Jim Kwik, want to start this chapter by having you reflect on how much your phone, computer, or tablet really serves you, and how much you serve them. We are surrounded by an infinite amount of data, notifications, and distractions, which deeply affect how our brain functions and our ability to learn and grow. The age of information overload. The digital age has brought countless advantages, but it has also created an environment where we are constantly bombarded with information. Every minute new emails arrive, social networks notify us, instant messages pop up, and we are tempted to check each one immediately. If we stop to think, when was the last time we were able to focus deeply on a task without being interrupted? When was the last time we truly took a mental break without checking our devices? Our brains were not designed to process so much information continuously. Instead of becoming more productive, the excess of stimuli can leave us stressed, anxious, and ironically, less productive. The ability to focus deeply, something essential for learning and memory, is becoming increasingly rare. In this chapter, I want to explore how we can combat these digital villains, regaining control over our time, energy, and attention. The 3 digital villains. I have identified 3 main digital villains that we must face to protect our minds and maximize our potential: digital overload, digital distraction, and digital dementia. Digital overload is the result of the massive amount of information we receive daily. This constant flood can leave us paralyzed, confused, and exhausted. Our brains need time to process, reflect, and store information. But when we are continuously receiving new information, we do not give them this opportunity. It's like trying to fill a glass that's already overflowing. Personally, I've experienced digital overload on several occasions. The pressure to always be available and the need to keep up with the latest news or trends can consume us. To combat overload, we must become more selective with the information we choose to consume and start prioritizing quality over quantity. Digital distraction. Digital distraction is perhaps the most obvious villain and at the same time the most insidious. Every time your phone vibrates or a notification pops up on the screen, your attention is diverted. This cycle of constant interruptions fragments your ability to think deeply and accomplish meaningful tasks. Let's be honest, how many times have you started working on something important, only to be interrupted by a notification or a quick check on email that turned into an hour lost? I know how easy it is to fall into this trap. Our brains are programmed to respond to new stimuli, and the apps we use are designed to capture and hold our attention. Digital dementia. Digital dementia is a term I use to describe the deterioration of memory and cognitive ability due to the excessive use of digital devices. By relying too much on our devices to remember information, calculate numbers, or guide us, we are weakening our ability to do these things on our own. Remember the last time you needed information and immediately grabbed your phone to look it up instead of trying to remember it? By doing this repeatedly, you are effectively outsourcing your memory to a device. This might seem harmless, but in the long run, it leads to a reduction in your brain's ability to retain and recall information, making you dependent on technology for basic memory functions. How to combat the digital villains. Now that we've identified the villains, the next step is to learn how to combat them. I'm not suggesting you abandon technology. It would be unrealistic, and in fact, technology can be extremely useful. However, it is vital that we start using it in a more conscious and controlled way. Set clear boundaries. One of the most effective steps you can take to reduce digital overload and distraction is to establish clear boundaries for technology use. This includes setting specific times to check emails, social media, and other information sources. For example, I adopt a practice called digital sunset, where I stop using electronic devices at least 1 hour before bed. This allows my mind to slow down and prepare for restful sleep without the interference of blue light or incessant notifications. Practice deep work. Deep work is the practice of intensely focusing on a task without distractions for a prolonged period. This practice is essential for accomplishing meaningful work and deep learning. During these sessions, eliminate all digital distractions, turn off notifications, close unnecessary apps, and create an environment conducive to concentration. When you start practicing deep work, something incredible happens. You enter a state of flow, where your skills and creativity reach their peak. For me, this practice has been crucial for writing, learning new skills, and solving complex problems. Strengthen your memory. To combat digital dementia, I recommend that you start reinforcing your natural memory. There are several techniques you can use to improve your ability to remember information, such as visualization, where you associate information with vivid images, or the loci technique, where you visualize storing information in different locations in a familiar place. Practicing these techniques daily can help strengthen your memory and make your brain less dependent on digital devices to remember information. One exercise I regularly practice is trying to remember phone numbers, shopping lists, or appointments without resorting to my phone. Practical exercise, intentional disconnection. I want to propose a challenge for you. Set aside one day a week to intentionally disconnect from your digital devices. Use this time to reconnect with yourself, with nature, with reading a good book, or simply to reflect and rest. I call this a digital detox. This practice not only relieves overload and distraction but also re-energizes your mind, preparing you to be more focused and productive in the days that follow. The first time I did this, I realized how dependent I was on my devices and how liberating it was to take a break. I discovered that my creativity flourished, my mind became clearer, and my mood improved significantly. Try it for a day, and you'll see how this small practice can have a big impact. A life with fewer digital limitations. At the end of this chapter, the goal is for you to start seeing technology not as something that controls you, but as a powerful tool that can be used more effectively and consciously. You have the power to set limits and protect your mind from the traps of digital villains. By doing so, you'll free up time and energy to focus on what really matters: your personal growth, continuous learning, and achieving your goals. Let's continue on this journey together, learning to navigate the digital age in a way that maximizes our potential instead of limiting it. Your mind is your most valuable resource, and protecting it from digital villains is essential for living a life without limits. And remember, you are in control. Chapter 4. Redefining the possible. Imagine for a moment that you could redefine what you believe to be possible. What if the limitations you've imposed on yourself, or those imposed by the world, weren't real? In this chapter, I want to guide you through the process of questioning and expanding your perceptions of what is possible, so you can open your mind to new opportunities and achieve a level of performance you never thought possible. The power of identity. The identity you adopt, who you believe yourself to be, is the most powerful factor influencing your actions and results. If you believe you are someone who is not good at math, someone who is not athletic, or someone who is not creative, these beliefs shape your experiences and limit your potential. However, the truth is that identity is not fixed. It can be shaped, transformed, and expanded. I, Jim Kwik, experienced this firsthand. As a child, I was labeled as the broken brain kid, and that identity followed me for many years. It affected everything I did, from how I interacted with people to how I faced academic and personal challenges. However, as I learned about the power of the mind, I realized that this identity was not a life sentence. I had the power to redefine who I was and what I was capable of achieving. In this chapter, we will explore how you can do the same. We will start by questioning the limiting identities you have adopted, and then we will work on creating a new identity, one that reflects the best of who you are and what you can become. Questioning your identities. To begin redefining the possible, it is essential to identify and question the identities that limit you. Pause and reflect on the ways you define yourself. What labels do you carry that prevent you from reaching your full potential? These might be labels like I am lazy, I am anxious, I am shy, or any other labels you have internalized over the years. The next step is to question the validity of these labels. Do they truly define who you are? Are they based on facts, or are they just perceptions you have adopted as truth? When I started questioning my own identity as the broken brain kid, I realized that this was not an objective truth. It was just a story I had been repeating to myself, influenced by external events and opinions. An effective way to challenge these limiting identities is to ask, who would I be without this belief? Imagine yourself without the limitations imposed by these identities. How would you behave? What decisions would you make? What opportunities would you seize? Creating a new identity. After identifying and challenging the limiting identities, it's time to create a new identity, one that allows for growth, success, and fulfillment. This new identity should be based on who you want to become, not on who you were or how others see you. I call this limitless identity. To create your limitless identity, start by defining the qualities and characteristics you admire and wish to embody. Perhaps you want to be more confident, creative, resilient, or determined. Write down these qualities and start acting as if you already possess them. When you act in accordance with your new identity, your brain begins to accept these qualities as part of who you are, and this is reflected in your actions and results. Reprogramming your brain. The process of adopting a new identity also involves reprogramming your brain to support this transformation. The science of neuroplasticity shows us that the brain is incredibly adaptable. By repeating new patterns of thought and behavior, you can literally reshape your brain to support your new identity. A powerful technique for reprogramming your brain is visualization. I use visualization as a daily tool to reinforce my limitless identity. Close your eyes and imagine yourself living as the person you want to become. What does your day look like? What are your priorities? How do you interact with others? Repeatedly visualizing these scenarios strengthens the neural connections associated with this new identity, making it more real and accessible. Overcoming inertia. Redefining the possible also means overcoming inertia, the tendency to remain where you are instead of moving towards something new and challenging. Inertia can be emotional, mental, or even physical. It could be fear of the unknown, laziness, or self-doubt. However, what you need to understand is that inertia can be overcome, and the first step is action. Start small. Instead of trying to transform your entire life at once, choose an area where you want to make progress and begin to take action. It could be as simple as waking up earlier, reading a book for 10 minutes a day, or signing up for a new activity. Each small step creates momentum, and this momentum eventually overcomes inertia, allowing you to move forward more easily. I always say, small consistent actions lead to great results over time. When I began my journey to redefine who I was, I didn't do it all at once. It was a gradual process, where each small victory gave me more confidence to keep going. The importance of a growth mindset. Adopting a growth mindset is essential for redefining the possible. A growth mindset is the belief that your abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort, learning, and persistence. It contrasts with a fixed mindset, which views abilities and intelligence as innate and unchangeable. A growth mindset not only opens up new possibilities, but also changes how you handle challenges and failures. Instead of seeing failure as evidence of your limitations, you see it as an opportunity for learning and growth. This mindset is crucial for continuing to advance, even when things get tough. Practical exercise, identity affirmations. I want you to try a practical exercise that I use daily, identity affirmations. These are positive and powerful statements that you repeat to yourself to reinforce your new identity. Write down 3 to 5 affirmations that reflect the person you want to become. For example, I am a determined and resilient person. I am creative and innovative. I learn and grow every day. Repeat these affirmations daily, especially upon waking and before sleeping. By doing so, you are training your brain to accept this new identity as your reality. Remember, the brain believes what you repeat with conviction. The more you reinforce these new beliefs, the more they will become ingrained in your mind and actions. Redefining your goals. Redefining the possible also means redefining your goals. As your identity expands, your goals should also reflect this new vision of yourself. Review your current goals and ask yourself, are these goals aligned with the person I am becoming? If not, make the necessary adjustments to ensure that your goals are in tune with your new identity and vision. A practice that helps me in this process is setting goals that challenge me, but are also realistic and achievable. I call these expanding goals. They should be beyond what you believe is possible, but still within the realm of action. This creates a sense of urgency and excitement while keeping you motivated to keep moving forward. Expanding your world. Redefining the possible is not limited to your own beliefs and identity. It also involves expanding your world and seeking new experiences that challenge and grow you. I encourage you to regularly step out of your comfort zone, try something new, learn a new skill, meet new people. Each new experience expands your mind and brings you closer to a limitless life. By the end of this chapter, I want you to feel that redefining the possible is within your reach, something you can start doing right now. Your identity is fluid, your goals are adjustable, and your possibilities are endless. Don't let past limitations or others' expectations hold you back. Believe in yourself, redefine what is possible, and pave the way for an extraordinary life. Remember, the only limit is the one you set for yourself. Let's continue this journey together, breaking barriers, redefining what's possible, and living a life without limits. Your transformation starts here. Thank you for joining us. If you find this journey valuable, I encourage you to listen to part 2 as well. It will build on what we've covered and help you continue unlocking your infinite potential. Let's start this exciting adventure together.